Mary Arno. Welcome to the Daily Buzz 716. Today on our show, we want to take a closer look at how our local private colleges are being impacted by the recent Excelsior scholarship and other tuition assistance programs. We'll be joined by Daemen College President Gary Olson to get his perspective on how they're adapting to these changing times. Then a bit later, we're going to find out how a new restaurant for the healthy, active lifestyle is making its first appearance here in Western New York. Welcome back to the Daily Buzz 716. Our first guest today is one of many leaders of private colleges in our area that are feeling the impact of recent state tuition assistance programs, such as the Excelsior Scholarship. Gary Olson is president of Daemen College, and he's with us today to discuss how the landscape has changed with these new developments. President Olson is a noted scholar of rhetoric, writing, and culture. Before assuming the presidency of Daemen, he served as provost and vice president for academic affairs at Idaho State University, dean of the College of Arts and Sciences at Illinois State University, and chief academic officer at the University of South Florida. Welcome, President Olson.
Well, wow, that's quite awesome. Yeah, you need a higher chair and a staff. Seriously.
Can you give us honorary degrees?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I need to be a doctor. I need to be a doctor.
Trust me, I'm a doctor.
We're thrilled we're having you here because, you know, obviously Daemen, originally Rosary Hill, and where I went to school, and but it's such an iconic educational facility in Western New York, and here you are to talk to us about
Delighted
this.
To be here. Yes.
Great.
Well, that was an interesting path, though, that you took to get here. I mean, Mary just named off.
But what got me is they were all large public institutions.
Right. That's right. Yeah.
And what's the difference between that and a small private college?
Well, one would think that there are a lot of differences, and there are some, of course, but in a lot of ways, there's not, because we do the same thing every day. We're educating students. It's just a matter of scale. So if you're in one of these huge universities like the University of South Florida, we have going on 50,000 students. Wow. A little bit different from even some smaller universities. UB has, I think, about 30,000 students.
That's still a lot.
And now Daemen College has a little under 3,000 students. So we're doing the same kinds of things, but the scope and the scale is a bit different.
It's a more intimate educational opportunity.
Absolutely.
Which I think a lot of kids are more
attractive.
Successful.
That's right.
Yeah.
So,
I think so.
Of your 3,000 undergraduates, what's the most popular major at Daemen?
Well, it's probably tied with a few of our healthcare. We're really noted as probably the best, or let me just say one of the very best in the region for healthcare. So physician assistants, physical therapy, nursing, athletic training, some of those. For a few of those that I just mentioned, for 22 slots, there's 1,000 applications.
Wow.
So that's how popular they are. So it's very tough to get in. It's a tough curriculum. You know, some people don't make it.
But if they do,
but when
there's
they do,
good jobs open to them.
They can write their ticket.
Well, you end up turning out the best of the best.
I say that all the time.
And your placement numbers are unparalleled. Right.
Yeah. And you know, I'm always, you know, part of my job as president is to get out into the community and meet people, and I'm always meeting people that are surgeons and physicians in the community. And when I identify myself as being from Daemen, they'll always say, "Oh my God, you have the best trained," and they'll fill in the blank. It's physician assistant one time, or a PT the other time. And they're just amazed that they don't have to sort of retrain people once they get out.
Well, now what is Daemen College doing that these other universities aren't doing? Because your students are such a standout students.
Well, I think the key, especially nowadays, you mentioned the changing landscape, is to have sort of niche programs where you're the best of the best. And no school in this day and age can be the best and the best in all the different disciplines, right?
Sure.
So we don't have engineering, we don't have certain programs, but we do have these and some other programs that are so good in quality that they're unparalleled. And so that makes the difference, I think.
Now, knowing that you've worked all over the country, what was it about Daemen that made you say, this is where I want to be?
Well, I'll tell you, this will sound really corny, but, you know, higher education is kind of a cold place, especially in the bigger places. You know, you can be a number, even not just a student as a number, but a faculty member as a number. When you have that many people, it's like a little city or a big city. And there's something about Daemen College that sets it apart, even from a lot of the smaller schools. We call it the Daemen family. You actually feel like you're part of a family when you're there. And it dates back to the Rosary Hill days. And what I think it is people care about one another. Everybody seems to know each other by name. They provide support. If somebody seems like they're having trouble, they're running into academic trouble or whatever, they reach out. You don't get that in a lot of places, not that I've seen around the country. So that, in my mind, is what
Daemen even works with, I think is it People Incorporated, and they have a YALT program.
That's right.
A young adult life program for individuals who have, you know, have issues or have disabilities who still want the college experience.
That's right.
And I think that's just a great example of what you're talking about, the Daemen family reaching into the community as a whole.
Well, they've reached into the community as far as a couple blocks down. Their partnership with the Park School of Buffalo is really groundbreaking and remarkable.
That's right.
We were just talking about the new soccer field that
we'll have the grand opening in the first week of September.
I can't wait. I can't wait. It's right outside the theater doors. It's just a beautiful piece, and it's a concrete example of your reaching out into the community. And people have seen the improvements and the new builds right on the campus because you're right in the front window. Tell us about the new buildings and the wonderful facelift that Daemen has gone through in the past several years.
Well, obviously the newest, most visible one is across the street on Main Street, which is, it used to be the old YMCA, which at that time, I'm sure it was a great YMCA, but at that time, it was pretty much a big brick box with no windows.
But a swimming pool.
With a swimming pool, it's true, but no windows, a brick box. But now you would not recognize it. It's a very modern academic building. We have wellness programs in there. We have some academic programs in there. So we have that. We just opened up Alumni House on campus, which is an old, very nice, used to be single-family residence that now houses all of our advancement operations and is a nice, welcoming place for alums. So you'll have to come and visit.
Can I stay over?
You can stay over anytime you want. Absolutely.
Only if Rosie comes.
Yeah, it's like
yes, Rosie has to come
Rosie, it's an Airbnb.
We also just opened up Honors House, which is the headquarters. It's another house, but which is the headquarters now for our honors program. So.
You know, you've been at Daemen since 2013, is that correct?
That's right.
And I read your inaugural address online, and I was really touched, and I didn't even realize that you had gone to Rosary Hill. But he gave a shout out to the nuns, the hardworking nuns that started this college in 1947, and you called Daemen an undiscovered gem.
That's right, yes.
And so you've been telling us why, so we need to get it discovered more.
Right? Well, that's right. I'd like to think people are discovering it more and more frequently recently, but yes, we can't do it enough.
No, it's a wonderful cornerstone for our community, right on Main Street, Eggertsville-Snyder neighborhood.
We like to think of ourselves as Amherst College. I mean, obviously the other
right
college
across from Amherst High School
is the community college, but as far as the four-year college, we're Amherst College.
On that note, we have to take a short break, and we'll be right back to continue our conversation with Gary Olson. Stay with us. Welcome back to the Daily Buzz 716. We're continuing our conversation with Daemen College President Gary Olson. Besides everything he does as a college president, he writes a monthly column for the Chronicle of Education. Is it monthly? Am I right?
Well, I had been for 7 years.
Okay.
Now, I've not done that in a while, but I am writing for the Huffington Post.
Well, that's where I was going. I mean, I was going, you know, we don't all read the Chronicle of Higher Education.
Yeah,
sorry, President.
I don't blame you.
But he also writes for the Huffington Post, HuffPo.
Which everybody reads every day.
Which is kind of a big deal.
His recent Huffington Post blog is titled, Think Twice Before Choosing Free Tuition. And in that blog, he says, an old adage sums it up concisely. If something sounds too good to be true, it probably is.
There's just a load of unintended consequences that are going to rear their ugly heads.
Well, we've got two programs going on. The Excelsior, which is for public schools in New York State. The Tuition Awards Program, or TAP, which is for private schools. So when Governor Cuomo first announced it, it was all about free tuition for public schools, and we'll talk about that later. It's not really. But I guess because there was an outcry from the private schools as well as from students and parents of private school colleges, what are you doing for us? So tell us what happened with that then.
Well, yeah, just one quick correction. Okay. The TAP program, the Tuition Assistance Program, actually was already in place, and that's the good thing. Right. So what that does is that provides extra tuition assistance to New York residents above and beyond what the federal financial aid does.
Going to private colleges?
Going to either private or public.
Okay.
And so what was good about that, and has been and still is good about that, is that the money goes with the student. And
as long as they attend a New York school, public or private.
Right.
Not out of state.
That's right. And the problem is with the new program that was just put in, the Excelsior and then the add-on for the private colleges, the problem with that is that goes to the specific sector instead of staying with the student and the family.
What do you mean the sector?
Problem.
What does that mean?
Either the private sector or the public sector. So the free tuition program, the Excelsior program, funds students, and it's supposedly free, and we can talk about that, who go to the SUNY system. And then
SUNY or CUNY or the community colleges, all of public schools.
That's right. And then the add-on program for the privates sort of mimics that, and the students who are going to the privates can get a little additional funding above and beyond what the privates give, but then there are certain restrictions that
and the schools have to match the money.
The schools have to match that.
So
money.
That's a big hit on a small private school,
I'm assuming.
It
can be, that's right.
The private school has to match additional federal funding.
Additional,
Where will that money come from the private schools?
Well, it's a good question. So we opted out at Daemen College. We're not going to participate in that. In fact, about 2/3 of the colleges in New York State opted out. And we thought that mostly this was unfair to the students. It's unfair because of all the restrictions. So if you're a student in New York and you want to go to college and you're lured by the so-called free tuition, you must stay in New York after you graduate for the number of years that you took.
So if you take 4 years of Excelsior or enhanced
that's
TAP,
right, or
you've got to
5,
stay for 4 years.
You have to stay
in New York.
You have to have a full load each semester. You have to
30 hours a year or 15 a semester.
Right, and you have to maintain a certain grade point average and so on. Well, this is very unfair. So if you're going to go into a new career, let's say in the healthcare, you may have a wonderful opportunity in California, but under this system, you are required to stay in New York. Otherwise, they will convert your
free tuition
into a loan.
Into a loan. So you've got so in essence, it's a loan if you don't meet the.
But if they had
or if you default in any other way.
If they had gone to school not using this program and gone for scholarships and the traditional Pell TAP.
There's no
you can't go back. You can't go back and get the funding you didn't get. So if you had gone with Pelt and TAP and scholarship, you would have had a smaller tuition, and now you're paying back the full thing, the entire.
That happens to you.
The entire tuition.
So, this is the question that I have, because as of course, a resident of Buffalo, New York State, one who took advantage of the TAP and Pell grant, EOP, as well as SEOG grants, you know, when I seen the free tuition come into play, I jumped for joy because I'm standing here today.
Good,
yeah, absolutely. Paying for the paying for my student loans. But to see the stipulations, I don't have a problem with it. Because I think coming into the city of Buffalo, coming to these schools, because we're pretty much more of a college city anyways, you know, why wouldn't you, if you have this free opportunity, be able to stay here and put back into community or put back into you? So I guess I'm confused when people, you know, talk about the free opportunity in the way of like, it's really not free. I'm just looking at it from a standpoint of, of, this is a great opportunity, especially for someone coming from impoverished area who don't necessarily have the funding or the support to be able to actually pay for college, like myself, because the surest way out of poverty is education. So if you're giving this free opportunity to participate and be able to get an education, I'm just trying to figure out where's the, it's not really free, and this is, you know, a bad thing because you have to stay here. But it's just like, for myself, I'm still here even after graduating and have taken full advantage of every opportunity that Buffalo has afforded me, and I'm way past my 4-year opportunity. So I guess from a person like myself who may be watching, parents may be watching, I just want to make sure that the wording of it's really not free. Well, you know, I'm just trying to clarify that, because someone like me, I'm excited for it.
And you don't see a downside.
Absolutely not. It's a great opportunity.
I would love to have free college, but free college for everybody. But the reason some people say it's not free is this. First of all, the funding that the government put into this program, depending on who does the counting, is either enough money to fund 3% or 5% of all eligible students under that program.
So for 95 or 97%, it's not there.
95% are never going to get that money to begin with. And second of all, what's disingenuous is that while the tuition, you know, the stated tuition cost of going to SUNY is about, I think it's $5,700, something like that, dollars a year, sounds low when you compare it to some of the privates. The fees that you have to pay on top of that, and the room and board, you wouldn't have had to pay because you are a resident here, but a lot of people...
I did pay. I stayed on campus.
So the cost of the room and board is so inflated that, that actually the cost that you would end up paying right now is about what tuition at Daemen College is, or somewhere around $25,000, $26,000.
Well, not only that, but Excelsior caps at $6,400 per student per year.
Right. That's right.
UB tuition next year, which I happen to know since I have sons that are starting college, is $10,000.
It's 10, that's right.
And if you add room and board, that's another $12,000 on top of that. So
but
that's
Excelsior is paying 6 of that 12.
Right, 6 of the 12 if you're in the 3% that gets the money.
Right.
But you're not. It's not free. You're still paying for the.
So when you're saying it's not free, you're saying they're misrepresenting
Correct.
what the money
they're paying
actually
portions.
They're paying a portion.
The buzzwords of free tuition.
Yeah.
That's it. Nobody hears anything else.
Right.
See, many of us believe this. If the government really wanted to help students and families in New York, they had the perfect opportunity, and they were told this in advance. Put more money into the existing TAP program so that the money goes with the students.
And that goes to public and private.
Program,
absolutely.
right?
And that's true.
And so instead, because of the buzzword free and what that might gain you, it was
in 2020, if anyone's running for a Democratic nomination.
Whatever reason, they went that way.
Mary just got really political.
Yeah.
She does that.
So if you had guidance, if you had words to say to our viewers who have children who are headed to college, viewers who are heading to college themselves, what in a capsulized version what advice would you give them?
Very simply, be a good consumer. Check things out. Don't fall for an easy, you know, it sounds too good to be true. It may be. So, for example, if you're thinking about going into certain areas where we're strong at Daemen, go and check us out. Right. And we give $25 million worth of our own money in scholarships to our students every year, on top of TAP and top of the federal aid and everything. So no one pays. No, I mean no one.
No one pays sticker price.
The sticker price of the college.
It sounds to me like the big takeaway is, had this same money gone into TAP and Pelt, it would have been a wiser allocation.
If it had gone into TAP, it would have been much wiser, absolutely.
If they're really investing in the students of today and tomorrow.
That's what I would say. That's right. Because and then families get to choose.
Right.
You know, because
and you can get your financial award from each place.
I will say that even though I spent a career in these big universities, I went to a school the size of Daemen. I don't think I would have survived in one of the big colleges as a college student. I just don't think I would have. I think I needed that smaller, more welcoming atmosphere get my sea legs, as they say. And so, you know, not every college is for every student.
There's a lot to be said for the personalized service that you offer at Daemen College.
It's the Daemen family.
It really is truly a wonderful place and very, not hand-holding, but hand-guiding.
That's a good way to say it. Thank you. Yeah.
We want to thank Gary Olson for being with us today and sharing his thoughts on this very timely issue facing all of our local colleges and universities and students. We have to take a short break, and when we come back, there's a new healthy place to eat in town. Stay with us.
Did you say food?
Thank you so much.